Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Scott and this is Grassroots NASCAR Racing. Now today we have something very special for you. Grassroots has partnered with Sunoco, a longtime sponsor of NASCAR, to restore a piece of history. This piece right here. This is a 1990 and 91. It was a Skull car before. Now in 91 it was raced as a Sunoco car, and that's what it is today. But our goal is to restore this car. We're going to be doing a complete restoration on the outside. We're going to strip all the decals, all the adhesive, do body work, paint, and all new graphics, and get this thing shining the way it should be. Because right now she's a little rough. She's over 30 years old, showing her age just a little bit, so we're going to have to take care of her. She's got a few graphics that are peeling and starting to come up a little bit, so these need to be redone. And there's a few dents and dings that need to be repaired. But once all this work is done, she's gonna look so good. And we're gonna get her out on the track, get her to where people can see her, and everybody can enjoy this beautiful car again. And that's what we want. We want to preserve the history of this sport. We want to get these cars back out in front of the fans and just let them understand the great history behind these things. There are so many stories behind these cars, so many great times, great moments. And we want to preserve all that. So that's what we're about on this channel, is preserving history and taking you along for that ride. So thank you for being here, and thank you to Sunoco for taking on this project with me. I'm so excited to get it done, but there's a few things we have to do first. So there's a few things we need to do before we start peeling decals off this thing, and they're very important. So step number one. Hey, real quick, before we get into step number one, do me a big favor. In the bottom right hand corner, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and it's free. That's right. I know prices on everything is going up these days. It's getting crazy, but I'm keeping my prices the same for you. Free. We need to take some reference photos. Now, reference photos are very important so that we can get the decals correct later. I want them exactly the way they are. And we're gonna actually use some photos from 1991 of Terry Labonte on the racetrack. We're going to use some of those, but these are going to be the most accurate pictures that I can get because the car is right here, and these are the graphics that were applied by the team when this car was sold off. So these are exactly the size we want them. So we want to take pictures so that we know exactly where they go when we put the new ones on. The second step is we need to measure all the decals. We got to be sure we get the correct dimensions, because once they're peeled off, I can't tell them, hey, the door numbers need to be this tall, that tall. We need to know exactly what they need to be. So I need to go around and measure all of the major decals. Now the contingency decals, those are pretty set. We know what those are. But everything else, we're gonna have to measure. Door number, hood, roof, everything, to be sure we have it correct. And we're gonna write that down in a binder. And the other purpose that this binder is gonna serve, once we start stripping the decals, we're gonna take samples. So we're gonna take pieces of certain decals that have a lot of color. So off the hood, I'm gonna take a piece of that hood decal and save it in here so that we can get the colors correct for the decals. The yellow stripes on the bottom, we need to be sure that we get the correct yellow. So we're gonna save samples of all the decals in here along with all the measurements, and then we're gonna email the reference photos. So once the time comes to do all these new graphics, we'll have all the info. So once we have all that done, we'll be ready to rock and start pulling those decals off. All right, so that step is done. Everything we need is now in the binder. We've got all of our measurements for all the decals. So when we go to do the graphics, we know exactly what size we need. So that's good. So we'll hold on to this and then we'll add the samples once we start peeling. All right, everybody, it's that time. Time to start peeling. Now I hate doing this. It breaks my heart every time I do because I know that I'm peeling up little pieces of NASCAR history. They're the original graphics and I hate to see them go, but they have to because we got to make this car shine again. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Sunoco. Did you know that they've been the official fuel of NASCAR for 20 years? And they've been in the sport so much longer. I mean, we're working on a piece of Sunoco history. So it's clear that they love the sport as much as we do. From supplying the race fuels that power these incredible machines every weekend, to the 94 octane fuel that you can get at the pump to power your performance machine, to their standard fuels that make your grocery getter get up and go. It's clear that they believe in performance and supplying a quality product. Now, how can we thank them for that? When you're driving down the road and you see a competitor's gas station and a Sunoco gas station, pull into the Sunoco station. You'll be getting a better quality product and you'll be supporting the company that supports the sport that we love. All right, guys, let's get to it. Okay, well, whoa, that is quite a process. Probably one of my least favorite things to do on these cars is stripping the graphics and getting all that adhesive off. Not very fun. There's little tricks to it that you learn over time, and I learned a few things with this one. The yellow stripes that were on the bottom, that vinyl was a thinner vinyl than the rest of the graphics, and it liked to tear and pop, so it was very hard to get off, and it was leaving a lot of the adhesive. And I've used the heat gun on certain things before, but I figured with that, since it was thinner, that the heat gun would melt it and I wouldn't be able to take it off. But it actually, I tried it and it worked great. It didn't melt it or anything, and once it heated up, it peeled off in one piece super easy and took off all the adhesive with it. So always try that heat gun. It's a blessing. But the car is pretty much ready to go for the shop. I've done what I can. The windshield will probably come out once I get it there, once I have a little help with that. But I did go a little more in depth. I figured, you know, if we're gonna do this, we gotta do it right. We gotta take off all the little bits and pieces off the paint so that we can get a full, nice, complete, good paint job. So I went at it a little more. Let me show you what I did here. So here she is, all naked. So I went through, took out the windows. Those are all taken out. So that way I could get all these little pieces off the top. You know, we can get all that painted up right and done correctly. Same with the windshield, all the little tabs on the side, and then the strips that go from top to bottom that screw in right there. That way we can get everything painted right and done right. Took these pieces off, took off all the little hood pin pieces so we can get the hood done right. Now, if you look at this, so much of the paint came off, but what I found was, as I was peeling the yellow, apparently they had replaced the graphics at some time and taken off a lot of that paint before, because as I was peeling the yellow off, there wasn't paint on the back side of it. The paint was already gone. So somebody, you know, they had already done that at one time and taken off some of the paint before. So, but it did lose a little bit of paint during the process, but that's okay. Took off the spoiler, got that off. It was real interesting taking off these windows. I wasn't thinking I was going to do it because it was kind of a pain. It was all like little screws with nuts on the back. And I was like, how do I get back here to these ones? And what I realized was the vent that's on the side here, the NACA duct, I could reach in and take out the bolts around that, remove it, and then that way I could stick my arm in and get all the way down here to the back and to the braces on the rear window. So kind of cool. Once you look inside here, look at this. These are just extensions that were stuck in there. You know, that's how they did it back in the day. Kind of cool. But one thing I realized once I got these windows out is this is, you know, there's areas where, you know, it's kind of discolored back here. You can see where a little water got in here and kind of discolored all of this. So I am going to go through the interior a little bit and restore some of the interior. Probably these pieces. You can see here it's getting kind of a little rusty, a little crusty. So I'm going to clean all this up, make it look real good. And I'll do some of that in here as well. I'm definitely going to replace some of the padding, the roll bar padding, and a few other things just to make it look good again. So that'll be on the list of things to do. But anyway, yeah, that is it, guys. That step one of the process is complete. So I'm glad to get that done. One thing, I did try and save some of the graphics. So if any of you guys are interested, my email is in the description of the video below. If you're interested, I'll throw one of these in the mail for you. They're not like anything nice or anything, but it might just be something cool for any of you guys who are Terry Labonte fans or something like that, to have a piece of the original graphics from one of his cars. You can see I put them See on the garage door? So that's the door number. That's the roof, the number 4. The door number 4. That would be, this is the gas hole right here. That's the roof 9. The other side, passenger side. Little graphic, you know. So I'll try and somehow get them to you in the mail if you're interested. I think I have a couple pieces over here as well. Yeah, so here's the headlight number. And then this weird piece across the front that used to say Oldsmobile, if you're interested. But one thing that was really cool is as I was taking these parts off, I found a lot more parts that are marked. So the spoiler, of course, this one had some markings on the backside right there. TL, what is that, 28055? But most of the stuff is marked TL3 because this is chassis number 3, right there. And it's just so cool, like seeing all these parts that are all custom made for this car. And everything is marked, like all, you know, so these are where the hood pins were, but they marked all of them right front. They're all marked as to where each one goes. These are the brake ducts up front. You can see left top, right top, but these are all custom made pieces. And all the, so this is the bracket that hold, this is the strip that went across the windshield. I don't know if you can see it right there. It says it's stamped right. So each and every little part has markings as to where it goes. And even these little tabs, see these tabs? These are what go around the windshield and hold in the windshield. Look at this. Can you see that? They're marked TL3 for this car. And they're marked even as to which position they go in. Like top, see this one is top. It's just, it's so cool seeing that, seeing all these parts that are marked just for this car. I love it. This is the windshield, not the windshield, the rear window. I got that out. I'd love to get the other piece that goes on the outside of this, just to make it look more correct. This is the old radio. But it's just so awesome. That's one thing that I love about working on these cars is figuring out the history, just seeing how they built these things, how every piece was handcrafted for these cars. Unlike today's cars, it's sad to see how they're just so cookie cutter and the teams can't even make their own chassis anymore. It's sad to see that, but it's great that these cars still exist and that we're being able to preserve them and keep the history alive. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you join us for video 2 of the restoration process. That'll be coming up, where it will be going into the shop for bodywork and paint, and we will get it back and it should be looking awesome. So excited to see that, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.